Shalom, 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 beloved viewers and subscribers. We are here again, the Natsarym of YaHUaH, back with another lesson, learning the Abryth, or the Hebrew language. And of course, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We are so joyful every time someone views the contents of this channel and are Baruch by its contents. And for those who don't know what Baruch means, as Abryth people, we do not say blessed because of what it means in its original context. So for blessed, we say Baruch. For bless, we say Barak. For blessing, we say Barakah. So we're joyful that you're able to view our lessons. If you have not already seen lessons 1 and 2, then we encourage you to watch those so that you're able to follow through with what we continue to do through the remaining lessons. Of course, we're going to be doing our recap of the last lesson, and then we'll move into today's brief lesson. Abryth alphabet, or the Hebrew or Semitic alphabet. Notice we said alphabet and not alphabet, because alphabet is the Greek representation for the group of letters in the Greek listing, and that title or label is also used for the Latin and English listing of letters. But the Abryth letters, the 22 letters, are called the alphabet, and we're going to be reminded of why we say alphabet and not alphabet. Praise the name of YaHUaH.
The groups of letters that form the words of a particular language are usually called by the first two letters. It is technically incorrect to call the Abryth group of letters the alphabet because the first two letters of the Abryth are the Aleph and the Bat. Therefore, we say alphabet. The first two letters of the Greek grouping are the alpha and the beta. Therefore, those as well as the Latin and today's English groups are called alphabet.
The following letters were not part of the Abryth or Hebrew alphabet. The first 4 below are not in the Abryth or Hebrew 22 letters, nor the Greek list of letters. They are F, J, W, and V. These letters you will find are in modern translations and also represented in the translations for the Aramaic script, but they were not part of nor represented in the original Paleo script, nor the pictographs. They were not part of the Abryth language at all. Neither were they part of the Greek words or letters. Of course, the letter J is the newest letter on the block. That was added during the period following 1524. So it is less than 600 years old. The following vowels, E, I, and O, were not part of the Abryth representation either. These you will find are now in today's modern translations. So words such as Elohim or Aluahim, you will find people saying Elohim, replacing the Aleph and placing the E there instead. So these letters on the screen were not part of the original representation of words and letters in the Abryth or Hebrew context of words. They are modernized letters that have been placed in modernized translations and do not reflect the true representation or translation of the ancient Abryth text. So let us remind ourselves of what these 22 letters are. And if you have not yet seen our fun Aleph Bat Shir or Aleph Bat song, we encourage you to take a look at that video, learn the song. It has a very catchy tune, and it will help you, we believe, to remember the letters of the Aleph Bat. But let us remind ourselves of the letters. Aleph, Bat, Gam, Dal, Ha, U, Zan, Chat. In some contexts, you'll see Hat, Tat, Ya, Kaf, Lam. In some contexts, you'll see Lamad. Similar to the Gam, you'll see Gamal or Dalat. Mam, Nun, Samak, Ayan, Pa, Tsad, Kuf, Rash, Shan, and Thou. For some contexts, they have removed the TH representation of the thou and simply placed T similar to the tat, but the thou is represented as TH, thou. Today's lesson, we will be focusing on the second letter, the bat. Now, in recapping the previous lesson that we covered with the Aleph, we would have mentioned that the Paleo script is also referred to as the Paleo-Phoenician script. And Phoenician is actually a Greek term. And the Phoenicians, though it was not quite known what they called themselves, they were actually, what's the word? They were actually a people from various countries or territories along the Mediterranean Sea. Throughout scripture, in the Tanakh, you will not see the word Phoenician, but you will see the representations Sidonians because they lived also in Sidon. They lived in Tyre and other countries along that strip. So you'll hear of Sidonians, merchants of the sea, because they were merchants by trade who utilized the sea for much of their trade and transport. You'll see kings or princes of Tyre, among other representations. The word Semites or Shemites was later changed to the word Hebrews by author Gurevitz Horan El Raid. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And this author used the term Hebrews instead of Shemites to describe the 12 tribes of Israel or Yisrael, the Moabites, the Ammonites, and other descendants of Abraham, to include the Phoenicians. Now, in scripture, we looked in the previous lesson at examples in scripture where these people, these merchants of the sea, These kings of Tyre and skillful people of Tyre and Sidonia, or Sidon, they were able to clearly communicate with Yisrael in writing. And this suggests that they understood each other's language and shared letter characteristics. The Romans later called them Punics, and if you research the Punic writings, you will recognize that they look similar to the writings you would see, or the paleo writings you would see on some scrolls. If you look at Punic writings in rocks, etc. Of course, we also made some comparisons in previous lessons with these writings. The merchants of the sea, or the Phoenicians, controlled the area of Lebanon with the cedars. Scripture shows that they were skillful people in construction, metalwork, lumberwork, hewers of stone. And this would mean that they were very skillful in mathematics and calculations. We see in scripture where they carried out construction and trade with sovereign Dawood or David and sovereign Shalum or Solomon. And so we can recognize how, because of their trade with various communities and countries, they traded with the Grecians, they traded with Egypt, they traded with Yisrael, they traded with various peoples. We can see how, in order to have effective trade, there must have been a means of communication. Hence the script which they would have written, or the letters they would have written coming out of the ancient pictographs, would have been adopted as well. But these Phoenicians were Hebrews or Shemites.
Ancient Hebrew letters have four characteristics. 1. Form. 2. Name. 3. Meaning. 4. Sound. Let's begin.
So we're starting with looking at the construct of the early writing or representation of the letter Bath or Bath. The various pictographs of this letter depict a house or a tent, as you see in the imagery on the screen. The tent was divided into two sections. There was the men's section, which has been highlighted in red on the screen, and there was also the women's section. The entrance to the tent was on the side of the men's section. The entrance to the women's section was from the men's section. And so here we have the women's section. So it was two sections, the men's section and the women's section. The word bat means house or tent, and may also mean family. A common designation for a family is to identify the house of the family patriarch, such as, or the example of, the house of YaHUaH or Jacob. This referred to the family of Jacob, or those who came from this particular family. So the representation was the house of, and then the patriarch was named. Just as the people of the Most High, dwell in his house, the house of YaHUaH, is the people of the Most High that are associated with YaHUaH. let us look at a more detailed representation. So again, we have the men's section, and that is usually where the opening of the tent is, or the door. And then the women's section is only accessible through the men's section. So we can see how that would be a means of protection for the women. And the women would be in an enclosed section where they have more privacy, considering various things that women go through, as well as the fact that the men were the protectors and the leaders. So the bath was seen as a tent or house, and so the letter was drawn in the same form. And we also see the poles, which would have been used to, or pegs, to hold the tent.
The meanings of this letter are house, tent, family, as well as in, with, inside, or within, as the family resides within the house or tent. This letter is equivalent to the Greek name Beta, the Arabic name Bayth, and the Latin English letter B. It is commonly used as a prefix to words to mean in or with, as in Ba'arat, meaning in a land.
So ba oftentimes in sentences meant in or with. And the letter, as we indicated earlier and have indicated just now, can mean bath, can mean house, tent, family, as well as in, with, inside, or within. So we are looking now at the transitions from the early to the middle to the late to the modern Hebrew letters. But as Abryth people, we predominantly use the middle script or the paleo script, as we recognize that the scripts following, the later scripts, would have had Babylonian influence. So the early Semitic letter or the picto of the Bat evolved into the middle script, the Paleo Phoenician script, or the Paleo-Semitic script, then into the late Abryth script, and finally the modern Aramaic letter. Of course, the late the late script would have followed exile and the modern. The middle script was adopted by the Greeks to become the letter beta. Beta, a reverse direction due to being written from right to left instead of left to right. And the Roman or Latin B also came from the middle script, which followed the Greek beta as well. So we can see how the shapes took on, or the form evolved from the middle script to the beta, and then to the Latin and now English B. The late Semitic script became the number 2. So this letter, Bath, is also representative of 2 or second. So for the name of some books, for example, you may hear someone saying, Bath Malakim, that's Second Kings. All right. So we have the ancient pictograph, Bath, which was later changed following Babylonian exile to the Aramaic bit. And this is the second letter of the alphabet. Of course, as the people of the Most High, we prefer to stick to the script before exile, which is the Paleo script. Praise YaHUaH. All right, so as usual, we have a scripture for the YaHUaH, or scripture of the day. On your screen is a script that, as the people of the Most High, we all should know. The first word, reading from right to left. Again, the words, when they were written, were not clearly separated. Sentences were not clearly separated. There weren't paragraphs on these things represented in the Abryth writings. One had to understand the root of the letter, the parent roots, and the contexts in which these are combined and were written. So the first word here is the Shan, Mam, and Ayan. Shan, Mam, Ayan. And this word, when represented with letters that are recognizable, is Shema. Shema. Some will say Shama, some will say Shema, but only 3 letters are represented here. Shan represented as SH, Mam represented as M, and Ayin represented as A. Shema. And in English, this means hear or listen or obey. The next word is Yishral. Yishral. That's the Yod, Shan, Rash, Lamad. Yishral. And this is, of course, the name of the people of the Most High, the 12 tribes. Yishral. Modern day translation has changed the name to now say Israel, but it's Yishral. So Shema, Yishral. The next word is recognized by a number of people. YaHUaH, or YaHUaH. Some say hey, but it's Hai. Hai. So YaHUaH. And we know this in Latin or English letters to be YaHUaH, YaHUaH. YaHUaH. It's like a breath. YaHUaH. When pronounced more slowly, you get YaHUaH. But in breathing the name, it's like breathing. YaHUaH, YaHUaH, YaHUaH. All right? Hopefully you could hear that just now. So Shema, Yishral, YaHUaH, Eloheinu. And that's the Aleph, Lamad, Hai, Yad, Nun, U. Eloheinu. YaHUaH, Eloheinu. And in English, that means our mighty one. our mighty one. Next, the name of the Most High again, YaHUaH or YaHUaH. And the final word, Alaf, Chat, Dalat, or Dal, and that's the word Achad. Now, this letter, Chat, people sometimes represent as H, which is incorrect, or this word would be Ahad and not Achad. So for some persons, when they're saying the word revelation in the Abryth, Chazun, they replace the Chat, CH, with H and say Hazun. But then that would mean changing Achad to Ahad. The word is Achad. And of course, in English, that means is one. So when the script comes together, Shema, Yisrael, YaHUaH, Eloheinu, YaHUaH, Achad, or Achad, it is Deuteronomy or Hadabarim 6, verse 4. Hear, O Yisrael, YaHUaH, our mighty one, YaHUaH is one. Hear, listen, obey, Yisrael, YaHUaH, our mighty one, YaHUaH is one. All praise to the Most High, YaHUaH. So these are our sources that we've been using ever since lesson 1, and even in the recap of today's lesson, or the lesson of this Yom. Praise the Most High, YaHUaH. Let us thank those who continue to send encouraging words to us. Really lifts our rukuth, or our spirits, or our beings. We're encouraged when we hear the feedback, and to know that there is someone out there who is being edified by these uploads.
We are the Natsarym of YaHUaH.
And of course, we say Achad,
Ahabah,
which means
one love.
And we thank all our viewers and subscribers, all the family of the Most High, for viewing today's presentation. So remember to smash that like button
Subscribe to the channel
and hit that notification bell so that you may be alerted every time we upload. Now, we've been told that the more persons like the videos, the more persons YouTube shares the videos with in their feed. So let's get these videos out so that others may be edified. Thudah, rabah, thank you very much, and Shalum.